Guys, good morning. Happy Tuesday. It's 4 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. I want to talk about Rupert Murdoch and Donald Trump. Donald Trump says he saved millions of Americans from plague with his quick actions. All right, first of all, let's take a look at the timeline. I got a link down below of the exact timeline. China made it public on the 31st of December that there was a people were coming down with this pneumonia-like flu. They were concerned about it. On January 3rd, their version of the CDC contacted the leader of our CDC, the head of our CDC, with an emotional phone call, very worried that this is getting out of hand, this is spreading fast. It was the way that this was transmitted that made it dangerous. On January 15th, I'm just going over the big dates here. On January 15th, a traveler, this is supposedly patient zero, from Wuhan province to Seattle on January 15th. Now, the White House and the National Security Council knew about this since January 1st, at least, January 3rd at the latest. It got here. The patient zero got here on January 15th. Now, in a few links below, you can see the timeline. And Trump instituted this travel ban on January 31st. And he makes it sound like, he had to fight the Democrats, and he had to, he went out of his way to save Americans and lock down, keep these Chinese, keep China out. He's calling it China now, by the way. It's not the coronavirus anymore. It's just China. It's not a virus. It's not coronavirus. It's not COVID-19. It's China. This, again, I don't know, I need to tell you guys again how this worries me. More and more, when I made that video yesterday about Pompeo, there's a lot of other reports out there about Pompeo getting on the news. A lot of other people were talking about that. And look, like I've told you guys before, I spent 25 years of my life being a big, fat liar and manipulator. I was a drug addict, a heroin addict, a junkie. I was fantastic at manipulating people. I would mark up my own body to make up stories that I got attacked, that I false police reports, everything. Terrible liar. I'm not proud of this. The reason I bring this up is because I can spot a liar. I can spot you. Everybody knows the old trick. When you want to lie, you mix it in with the truth. You mix in true facts and you throw in your lies. That's rule number one with being a big fat liar. The thing is, when I watched Donald Trump talk, okay, he talked about China, and he mentioned wildfire. China and the fire, and the way he if you watch this video from about 2 days ago, he's seeing China and this wildfire, and the way he's moving his hands, that bell goes off in my head. The way he's talking and the way he's moving the subject away from the facts and the way into a scenario that's easy for his supporters to perpetrate. With the connection to wildfire. I don't know, if you've never been a big fat liar or manipulator, you might not understand what I'm saying. But there was just something with him right there when Trump was on TV talking about China, wildfire, and the way he kept saying the words, the bell was going off in my head. He's putting out a narrative here. He's trying to put out a narrative. That's the easiest way to put it. It's manipulation of the facts. Do I think China was slow? There's reports out there that China might have underestimated the numbers. They were scared. They were scared. Hey, government officials are government officials. And they know people are going to lose jobs. People might end up in jail or dead, and government officials have a way of lying underestimating shit like this. So it does not surprise me that the Chinese officials did this. Oh yeah, back to the wildfire in Trump. The way he talked about, he said that China allowed their countrymen to leave, but wouldn't let anybody in. And he goes, well, what's up with that? And the way he said that, and I thought about that some more. Like I said, man, I could spot manipulation. And I thought about that some more, and that's exactly what we did. That's exactly what everybody does. That's what a country would do first. Would stop people coming in, because that's the easiest thing to do. You're not going to just lock down your country and tell everybody in your country that they can't leave, even though that's probably what you should do. Government officials to watch out for their jobs, and then they're not going to do that. And that's exactly what we did. That's what every other country did, until they realized that it was getting out of control and they had to lock down everything, people coming in and people going out. But the way that Trump was talking that day, it just stank of manipulation, and he was putting out a false narrative. And when Pompeo talked, I got the same thing. You can tell too, because there's no facts, and they say they have evidence, but they don't say any specific names, they don't say any specific dates, nothing. But they got evidence, and they're going to show it at the right time. So anyway, now patient 0 got here on January 15th. Now what I've been reading is the National Security Council, Trump, Mnuchin in the Treasury, were having a big argument from January 24th to January 31st, as they didn't want to stop China from coming in here, which surprised me, because dealing with Trump's xenophobic nature and his base's xenophobic nature, I kind of figured that he was dying to bar China from coming in the United States. I thought this was something he was dying to do, but no, he wasn't. He was preventing. There was a big argument going on in the White House for the week before January 31st. And by the way, the virus was already here and spreading like wildfire here already. It was already carving its way through a nursing home in Seattle by this time. Okay? Well, Mnuchin, the National Security Council, and Trump are all arguing about preventing Chinese nationals from coming in the country. Why did Trump not want these nationals barred? Money, the economy, the stock market. I'll give you guys the link to the story below. They were worried about the buying pharmaceuticals from them, our semiconductors, selling and buying semiconductors, pharmaceuticals. They were worried about the stock market, and they did not want to bar the nationals from coming into the country. Finally, Trump gave in on the 31st. He was worried about the economy for a whole week. And by the way, the virus was already here and spreading like wildfire 2 weeks before this. These are all facts. All facts. And what do we have now? We have him on TV saying that he saved millions of people from this plague due to his fast actions. Like I said, he invites this himself when he lies and exaggerates things. When he says these things like, that he's the savior and he saved millions of people, he invites this. And it's just it's a never-ending circle of him lying and his exaggerations, and it infuriates the rest of us who live in reality. And then he gets upset because he's called out and being a liar, and he lies more. All right, next thing. I want to talk about Rupert Murdoch. Okay, Pompeo and Trump keep bringing up how they saw these facts. They have this information. Well, I think I know what they're talking about. Rupert Murdoch. This is a name I'm going to look into more. I didn't know much about him. I still don't know much about him, but his name's popping up. He owns Fox News. The Murdoch family owns Fox News. As we all know, Fox News is as bad, as evil, or more evil than Trump. I don't know who is running or who's leading who. I don't know if Fox News is the more evil entity, controlling Trump, or Trump is the evil entity controlling Fox News, or if they're working in unison. The funny thing is, these Trump supporters, they all think that Trump is the working man savior. He's just like us. He came from nothing, and in reality, couldn't be further from the truth. So Rupert Murdoch, one of the richest billionaires in the world, owns Fox News, which is great at spread. They are pumping out this narrative that China is to blame. All right. Australia, also another country, very nationalistic, and it has a lot of racism in it. I didn't know that, but it does. The Australia's Daily Telegraph, one of the big newspapers, media sources in Australia, has been claiming that they have a dossier, that there's a 15-page dossier that says China, it came from the Wuhan virology. They made this. It was an evil plan. This dossier says this. All right. Who owns the Australian Daily Telegraph? Rupert Murdoch. Yep. So these sources, Fox News, Australian Daily Telegraph, which is really pushing this story about China being to blame, being man-made, being genetically modified, coming from Rupert Murdoch's media sources. Well, isn't that freaking interesting? And then Trump and Pompeo come on TV and sell it some more. Isn't that something? So anyway, I did not know about this other international intelligence agency, the Five Eyes. I know, it sounds like something out of a Jason Bourne movie, but it's real. It started in World War II to fight the Nazis. England, the United States, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia comprise the Five Eyes. It's their intelligence agencies working together. Now, of course, these people that are all uptight about the one world order and all that probably have an issue with this. To me, it looks like kind of like an Interpol of news agencies. And the fact that it was developed in World War II to fight Nazis makes me not think it's such a bad thing. I don't know. But anyway, the Five Eyes has totally debunked this dossier bull crap story. These intelligence agencies and M2, M1, M15. I'm sorry. The British intelligence agencies, equal to the Secret Service or the CIA, have debunked it too. It's not true. And if you take a look inside, because they make this virology laboratory in Wuhan sound like some high school lab. In this supposed dossier, it says that supposedly a bat urinated on a laboratory worker, and it might have been spread that way. That sometimes they don't wear the right. They're after all they're a third world China and everything. They don't wear protective gear. If you look at photos, look up photos online. I'll put one up. They are in full protective gear, with the negative pressure and all that stuff. And if you look into the intelligence agencies' reports, they are the exact equal of our virology laboratories. Because the way, of course, Trump, Pompeo, and these guys try to sell it, it's some evil James Bond backwoods virology laboratory. No. So yeah, Murdoch. That's interesting. Okay, so onward. Why are they doing this? Trump re-election, no doubt. To make China the scapegoat. Make Donald Trump the hero. The more they talk about China, the less they're going to talk about how the cat got out of the cow was out of the barn 2 weeks before Trump even put in this thing barring the Chinese nationals. One other thing I want to point out here. Now, the way this started out in China, the way all these things start out, Ebola, AIDS, it appears there's a patient zero, right? We can agree on that. Somewhere along the line, virus or bacteria, whatever, mutate, they modify. It's amazing to think that these are living things. And as all living things, they have a built-in thrive to survive, to mutate, to go to work on us. And they mutate. And one mutation will affect, it'll jump to one person. And there you have patient zero. All right. So in China, you had patient zero, and bam, it spread like wildfire. 80, and that's due to the way that this was particularly transmitted. And China was very worried about that back on January 3rd and called our CDC and told them so. And yet it took almost a month for Trump to stop travelers from Wuhan province. So I don't see as much to brag about. It's quite the opposite. Anyway, back to patient zero. So when that patient zero got here, that's all it took. That's all it took. Once one contaminated person was here in the United States, it was off and running. And another thing is that people, they're pre-symptomatic for 2 weeks before there's any symptoms, which creates a huge problem because every day they're spreading it to 10 other people. And what's the word called when something multiplies? I forgot the word. Anyway, it multiplies. And all it would take is for one person to get here in the United States on January 14th or 15th. And the nursing homes were the perfect breeding ground. And it spread through this in Seattle. So it was already off and running through this country by the time Trump shut the barn door. Looking at the way they talk about this, the way it's spread through the coughing, the way it's easily spread, and the fact that the symptoms don't pop up for 2 weeks make it extremely dangerous. I don't see any way it would have been able to be stopped. One other thing I want to point out, if Trump did such a good job, how come there's 1.25 million people in this country infected right now? And that's like 5 times more than Spain, the next country. It's over 12 times more than China. We have by 10, 12 times far more infected people than any other country in the world. If Trump did such a good job, why do we have so many people infected? Why did it take so long for test kits? All right, I'm sorry. I see this video's running long. I'm going to have to shut it down now. All right, I hope it gave you guys something to think about. Rupert Murdoch. All right, you guys have a good Tuesday.